Our speaker today is Susan Thomas. Everybody knows Susan, or do you? For example, were you aware that Susan has been active and present in this fellowship almost since its beginning? The fellowship was founded in 1972. She started, I believe, 1975. So if you tend to think of her as the matriarch of the fellowship, you're not far wrong. One of the advantages of being here so long, well, actually many people can make the claim of being an old-timer here, but many of them either left at some point or moved away for 20 years, 30 years, and some came back, some didn't. But Susan, I believe, is the only person who has continuously been active and present in this organization almost from its inception. And one of the advantages of having that longevity is she did a great deal of work with Paul Solomon, not so much publicly, more often privately, which is actually, I believe, the preferred environment for apprehending the deeper insights to the Paul Solomon teachings, especially in the realm of interlaid consciousness. When Susan practices or teaches ILC, she doesn't do anything by rote. When the Catholic missionaries arrived on the island of Hawaii, the natives referred to them as Hau'opis, which literally translates as those who do not breathe their prayers. Susan breathes all of her prayers, and when I say that, remember that every thought is a prayer, every word is a prayer, every action is a prayer. So please help me welcome the priestess whose ministry draws from and ministers to all time, all space, all traditions, and all dimensions, Susan Thomas.
Wow, thank you for that introduction. Thank you, Lloyd. Wow. It's wonderful to be here today with friends, with people I haven't met yet, acquaintances, and all of us are fellow sojourners. It's great to be in school with you at the same time and to share this space, this time of celebrating life and making sense of it and studying it together. I would like to start this sharing by stating life is a gift. Life is a school. Would all of you like to simplify it? Who here wants to simplify their life? Anybody? I think we all do. So for the purpose of this talk today, we're going to narrow everything down into only two things exist. One is love, one is fear. And I'll be getting back to different aspects of all of that. But getting back to life as a gift and a school, I like to imagine we all arrive on an airplane. We land in the airport, and the airline attendant says, "Welcome to planet Earth. We do hope your stay will be a pleasant one. And when you go to the terminal, choose your gate, choose your line that you're getting into. If you need help, check your internal GPS. Google yourself, because it's all inside." And so we arrive roaming around, teeny numbers of people, and there's two lines. One's called fear, and one's called love. Well, of course, we're thinking, well, love, that would be great. You know, that's where we came from, and we want to learn more about. So, of course, we'll get in the love line. And then lots of people are in that line, and they kind of start looking over at the other line, like, gosh, there's shiny, dangly, sparkly things over there. What is that? I'm intrigued. Maybe I should check that out. So next thing you know, we get in the fear line. And none of this is bad. Okay? We're in a school. Fear is a professor, and so is love. So we might think, oh dear, I messed up, but maybe we picked exactly what we needed to set up our curriculum. I like to think of it that way. So we get in line, and we come into the earth, and we're ever trying to make our way back to love, to oneness. And so we're grappling with fear and all the love substitutes that are created out of that. The masks we wear. There are many love substitutes. For example, a person who acts arrogant or bossy, power trip. If you think of it, it's really a big mask. Somewhere down in there, they're vulnerable, they're afraid they're losing love. So I'm going to act like a grizzly bear and keep people away. That's a love substitute. So is being afraid to speak up. Maybe you couldn't as a kid, and you're afraid you're going to rock the boat, afraid somebody's going to hurt you. That's another love substitute. I'll acquiesce, I'll just fit in. There's so many of them. Any negative emotion we've ever had, any negative pattern. It includes things like jealousy. Any type of fear-based thing is simply a love substitute. Have any of you ever known people who will act just as awful as they can because they'd rather get negative attention than no attention? Ever seen even children do that sometimes? They don't know how to say, I want your attention, so they act up. Because everybody pays attention to something they don't like. They'd rather receive negative attention. So, in the school, we've all done it, and we all continue to work with it. The saga, I would say, this is the longest playing show in all of the universe. It's got a huge cast of characters, protagonist, antagonist. You've got your heroes, you've got your heroines, your villains, and you've got every possible mystery or intrigue or adventure or pathos, comedy, romance. It's such a long playing show. And it goes on and on and on. And our part in it, as we come in and out of it, is to remember we help write the script and we can help rewrite it. We're never stuck. I know a lot of people I've talked to this week that feel very stuck in something that happened, whether it was 50 years ago or 5 minutes ago. I like to remind myself and everyone here, we are never stuck. We can use whatever tools work for us to let it go. We don't have to figure everything out with our left brain either before we do that. If a poison arrow hits you, do you go, wait a minute, don't take that out, I don't know where it came from? Or do you just take it out? And so we really have so much more power than we realize, and yet as souls, I believe we have feared power, and that's why we go on this little journey where we have to put on our helmets and our seat belts and our knee pads, because it's quite a ride, isn't it, planet Earth? The ups and the downs. I came up with a little humor here about coming to Earth, the top 10 reasons for coming to planet Earth. And remember that late night show where the guy, who was it, Letterman used to do that, yeah. So I talked to a few people and I had some ideas myself, but so far this is what I have, and I'm sure we could go on and on with this, but we'll just do these 10. Okay, the first one, the God's thirst for expression. Number 2, there are lots of shiny objects. You know, picture the cat, gotta check that out. Number 3, sometimes the food's good. Number 4, we can dance. Somebody else said we can sing. Number 6, we can play instruments. Number 7, we can read books. Number 8, we can laugh. Number 9, we can cry. And number 10, we can participate in creation here and make a heaven on earth. That's a pretty tall order, isn't it? We should all get paid for doing it, don't you think? It's a job coming here, you know? It really is. Now, I saved the best for last, talking to kids. And I said, why do you think it's good to come to Earth? And this one little boy, a student of mine, said, so I can pester my brother. I know a few grown-ups who do that too. Another child said, I can play make-believe. That's a very powerful statement. Because if we can conceive of it, if we can imagine it, we can do it. And one of my favorites is a little girl said, if we come to Earth, we can cuddle. That's a nice part of being here. It is. And I suspect we all need more of that. And then last but not least, little boy, of course, said, we can eat cookies. So, we got lots of reasons for being here. And there are lots of times when we think, what was I thinking? I know Lloyd Kramer said something to the effect of, well, the recruitment poster wasn't exactly accurate. And some people thought they got in the line that said vacation, condo in Hawaii. And then, whoops, wait a minute, how did I get here? Surely I didn't pick my parents, all of that good stuff. What helps, I think, with everything we ever work on is to have compassion for ourselves and a sense of humor. So we'll keep interjecting that today for sure. So here we are in this school, and it's not kindergarten. It really isn't. I suspect there's people clamoring to come here and learn in this particular solar system, in this particular planet, because those are major teachings, fear and love. Now, sometimes we're just dead on afraid of being afraid. Like the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And I have experienced this, and other people I have helped, where they deny they're afraid, or pretend they're not. Or perhaps the worst fear is the one we don't know we have, that's kind of buried in some childhood situation, for example. And there are various therapies that help that. And so we tend to think of fear as the evil specter, the giant monster under the bed with teeth, hair, and eyeballs. And we're so afraid of being afraid. And that in itself can block us. Because we all tend to feel fear and we act loving at the same time. But we really want to get that fear out of our bodies, our cells, all of our bodies, known and unknown. I came across, it's funny how when you're preparing a talk, things drop off of shelves. You open a book, papers, old bulletin from 2002. I had found this and put it in the bulletin at the time. And it's something about fear. And it's by a woman named Barbara Brennan from Light Emerging. It's a book called Light Emerging. And I agree with her on this. And I'm going to just read you these 2 paragraphs. According to Barbara, she says, let fear be your ally. Fear has a great deal to teach you. Fear is the experience of being disconnected from who you truly are. It is the opposite of love. But fear can be an ally if you allow it to be, and just simply say, I'm afraid. And continually do this, you'll begin to see that you are not fear itself, but that fear rather is a feeling. I am afraid becomes I feel fear. It is the reaction of holding feelings because you believe they're coming too fast. These feelings are based on a great many assumptions of what might happen. Most fear is not of what is happening now, but of what might be. If you're unable to stay in the moment, if you are able to stay in the moment, fear will not find you. Fear is the projection of something that has happened in the past into the future through a very large magnifying glass. So when you are in fear, you are not in reality. But rather than deny that you feel it, just say what you feel in the moment. This act alone will bring you into the moment and thereby out of fear. I'm going to repeat the last little part of that for all of us and myself. But rather than deny that you feel it, just say what you feel in the moment, and this act alone will bring you into the moment and thereby out of fear. So I like that description of how we deal with fear. And in our daily lives, we can examine what's happened that day. And I think one of our biggest jobs is to realize love's an inside job. In an ideal world, we'd all be loving to each other all the time and contribute to each other's happiness. That isn't happening all the time. And even if it is, it's still up to us, up to me individually, to love myself. If I'm not able to let that in, then I will create love substitutes. And so we're all learning and growing with that and going in and out of that. And the time when you make mistakes is the time you need the most support from yourself. acceptance, compassion, sense of humor, and just go, well, that didn't work, I'm going back to the drawing board. And yet, sometimes it's the toughest job, isn't it? I see some heads shaking. We tend to be our own worst enemy, and we wouldn't treat our child like that. So maybe we should be thinking of ourselves as a child, and how would I treat my child? And take care of ourselves that way. That works for a lot of people. And so that's our big job, is to don't make someone else responsible for loving us. Even if they do, if we're not feeling it, it's not there, is it? And you see couples where somebody will say, if you love me, you would do this. Or you would automatically know what I want, right? Or you wouldn't do this. So even in a funny way, and every couple has their moments, but it's a school. You can see what a school it is. Having left love and on the way back to love. And what in the world does it really mean? And there are so many expressions of it, obviously. And there are things we think are love that are not love. And so it's quite a job. And yet I like to think of it as, don't think of it as an impossible job, climbing Mount Everest. Because any single second you love yourself or another person, that creates miracles in this earth. And it is contagious. People don't even know why they feel good when they walk in a room, but two people have been loving to each other. It creates a ripple, a nice ripple. And what I see are souls sitting here in bodies right now who have been made in love and are ever returning to it while we're here, not just after we go, while we're here in this incarnation on this plane. And maybe one of the first things we all need to do is don't make the earth wrong. You know, we tend to go, oh, I want to get out of this cycle or whatever, coming here. But what a place to frolic in creation and know that we're part of it and empower ourselves to be co-creators. Because every single person sitting here is a co-creator. There's a whole universe in you. And Steven Spielberg would love to do the movie, I'm sure, of each of you, each story that's here. Right now, in order for us to focus on our true identity, which is made of love, but in the school of love and fear, learning to get just all the better at it because we're ready for it, right? We're ready for it. I'm going to ask Lloyd Kramer to come up and lead us in a little reverie meditation. He came up with this when he went during an inspired time, when he was working with a study group at the ARE years ago. It just seemed so right for right now. And when he finishes that, I'm going to share some music and just a few affirmations we can leave with.
For today's meditation, I thought we'd take a little trip down memory lane, the memory lane of our soul. So let us relax and remember. We now open our crown chakra at the top of our heads, simply by intending that it open now. And we bring in the God pattern from the Most High. We bring it down through our throat to our heart chakra, the core of our being. For it is our will that our mind and our heart be connected to each other and to God. We are now aware of that part of ourselves that has never left the presence of God, our glorious spirit self that has stood ever before the throne. And we remember the moment of our creation long ago, when the distinction between the Creator and the created was so subtle that it was hardly noticed. We played in the glory of God's creation. We exchanged ideas and patterns and love and discoveries and insights and wisdom with each other and with God. We delighted in God's creation and God delighted in us. And our every question became our own personal answer. And our every thought became our own personal creation. And our every desire became our own personal experience. And we rejoiced in each new discovery, in each revelation of yet another aspect of God's glory, light and dark, and patterns and symmetries and beauty, and rhythms and harmonies and music, and forces and systems. We traveled through the cosmos and witnessed the continuing birth and death and rebirth of galaxies and clusters and nebulae and stars and planets. And each had its own vibration, its own color, its own music, and the planets encircling them provided higher harmonics of their central star's rhythmic pulse, and every corpuscle of creation rang with the music of the spheres. And in the fullness of time, our attention became directed to a small blue planet, third from the sun. We were fascinated by its ever-changing beauty, its mountains and its valleys, its oceans and its shores, its meadows and its forests, and its teeming life in countless forms. We watched the animals run and the fish swim and the birds fly. We watched as herds of animals ran across the prairie and through the shallow streams, feeling the wind in their hair and the water in their faces. And we wondered how such an existence might be. And being ever and always the children of the Most High God, as we applied our inquiring minds to the possibility, and as we pondered the question in our hearts, our very desire to know attracted the experience to us. So we took on attributes of the earth and made them a portion of our magnificent soul history. And we came to know the density of matter and learned to interact directly with the material realms. And yet, through all our many experiences, we must always remember who we really are. Not terrestrial beings, but celestial, made in the image and likeness of God. We now occupy these human bodies as the fullness of time has perfected them. But they are not the truth of us, any more than those early forms we took on so long ago were the truth of us. If these bodies disappeared, we would remain. Our souls would remain. Our group energy would remain. Our intention would remain. Our connection to God would remain. Each of us would still be as we were created, an intrinsic, inseparable portion of all that is, because all that is still all there is, and we are a part of it, and we are it. Though our goings forth in the earth have been from of old, from everlasting. So as we end this meditation and return to earthly consciousness, let us retain this thought. Now, Mother, Father, God, glorify thou us together with thyself, with the glory we had with thee before the world was. Amen.
The music that I'm going to share with you is a song from the Phantom of the Opera, and it's called Music of the Night. We live in an earth of duality here. We have day, we have night, male, female. We have the lights and the shadows. And I was thinking about, remember in the story Peter Pan where he couldn't fly until when he sewed his shadow back on? I'm intrigued by that symbology, because the shadow and the night and the dark, it's a teacher, it's a professor, working hand in hand with love, that we could then go more fully into who we really are and let our souls soar, our spirits soar, and welcome the music of the night. This song had a certain meaning in the actual Phantom of the Opera, and it can take on another meaning, talking about our journey as souls and how we unite with all the parts and accept all the parts and move into being who we are and helping each other with it, or that other part of ourself. And so, Lloyd, you can go ahead and begin. Nighttime sharpens, heightens each sensation. Darkness stirs and wakes imagination. Silently the senses abandon their defenses. Unfurls its splendor, grasp it, sense it, tremulous and tender. Turn your face away from the garish light of day. Turn your thoughts away from cold, unfeeling night, and listen to the music of the night. Close your eyes and surrender to your darkest dreams. Purge your thoughts of the life you knew before. Close your eyes, let your spirit start to soar. You've never lived before. Softly, deftly, music shall caress you. Hear it, feel it, secretly possess you. Open up your mind, let your fantasies unwind in this darkness that you know you cannot fight. The darkness of the music of the night. Let your mind start a journey through a strange new world. Leave all thoughts of the life you knew before. Let your soul take you where you want to be. Only then can you belong to me. Floating, falling, sweet intoxication. Touch me, trust me, savor each sensation. Let the dream begin, let your darkest side give in to the power of the music that I write. The power of the music that I write. Thank you. That song has powerful meaning for joining with all the parts of ourself and living our dream. I need my glasses. I would like to leave you with some affirmations that I'm working with that I came up with a few years ago, and I'm redoing these again to start using it. And I'm going to say this and invite you to let this be part of what you intend. I resolve this day to respond to the best of my ability to all situations with love. This love includes everyone. No one is left out. I am loved. Others are loved. I will do loving acts as much as I am aware and able to do so. I will forgive myself when I do not achieve this. I will forgive others when they do not achieve this. Thank you, Creator, for my eyes. Thank you for my ways of seeing things. Wherever I am at gives me a stepping stone to wherever I am going next. My unique way of seeing things blesses me and others. I am blessed by the way others see things. We are all on the path. There is no way we cannot be. We are all in this life, in this school. We are all eternal. We are all of God. Let's remember that Jesus encouraged us to step up to the plate and claim our birthright. He said that ye are God's. He said that all these things you can do and more. Our love is greater than our fear. Love brings spirit into matter, and let us rejoice in creation. Thank you.